So Paul, you've given a lot of insight into the business of your practice, and you were a small business owner before you built the ASC, before you built the OBS. Can you talk to us a little bit of how maybe a med student, resident, or fellow would even acquire these skills to even understand these terms we're throwing around, certificate of need, talking about partnership?
So my dad was an ophthalmologist, so I knew nothing like most of our residents and fellows when they come out in terms of the business world. I was like, I am a good glaucoma surgeon, let me do a trab, where's my trabs? And my dad was like, okay son, shut up, listen to me. What I would recommend is pick a mentor. There's so many people out there who would love to help out, whether it's your own practice, someone in your own practice that you can join, or reaching out to other doctors, or even you guys now. You guys are, you're helping so many younger ophthalmologists coming out. Just ask someone, say, hey, I have some questions. Can I come visit your practice? I'm a big fan of encouraging any doctor, myself included, to visit other practices, see what people do, see what their infrastructure is like, see how they interact with their staff. Like, there's so many things you can learn. And so my advice to any young medical student, resident, is go visit practices. Pick someone, just call them up. I'm telling you, just call them up or meet them at a meeting and say, look, I heard you have this and this set up. Do you mind if I come and observe? Do you mind if I talk to your practice administrator? Those are things that you can do. Have your practice administrator, if you have one, talk to someone else. Or if you have nothing at all, just go visit practices and talk. And most doctors will kind of give you an understanding, let you shadow them, let you talk to their staff, explain how they set it up as well. That's what I'd recommend. It's the easiest way.
Let's talk about the people a little bit. You just mentioned the staff. And for someone like yourself or like us who like to try out new things, like to do things, like to pivot, and we often will have a fully formed thought about what we want to do and a direction we want to take that is completely thought out and we can see the timeline ahead of us, and then we go and try and explain it to our staff, and you can see the deer in the headlights look of like, oh my God, this is so much stuff that I'm going to have to start doing. How do you encourage them to share your vision and actually execute upon it?
That is such a huge point. So I love speaking, I love industry, I love working with people like you guys, my friends, I love going to meetings. It's all about the interaction, learning. Come back, bring in some of the information I've learned and present it to the staff at a staff meeting. Involving them, you did a great job, you brought your staff with you. My dad did that for years. Bring them to meetings, let them experience this interaction that we have, this constant learning. And not every staff member is gonna want that, right? There's some staff members who are just there for the 9 to 5 job, or 8 to 6, or 8 to 8, whatever time of day it is, and just want that paycheck and they leave. But there's those staff members who just wanna learn, they wanna grow with you. Those are the people, A, invest in, pay them well. I've learned my lesson. Pay them well, treat them like family, treat them like a fellow. When they start to learn, just like we use, we talk about Alchemy Vision, this new kind of software we use as well, learning allows them to get more accountability. Then when they learn, it stimulates them to want to do more. Then they do understand why. The why of what we do is as important as what we do itself. And if they don't understand the why, it's hard for them to be engaged. It's hard for them to have the same vision you do. And then once they have the same vision you do, they're on your team. And then they grow with you, and then you don't need as many staff members. The efficiency is tied, and productivity is tied to their desire to want to do what you want them to do as well, to grow with you. So I think A, lecturing to them, explaining what you're doing, why you're doing it. When you go to a meeting, when you come back, spend even like 10, 15 minutes, talk about, hey, to the staff, how many staff you have, here's what I learned. And here's how it's going to impact the practice. Here's how what I learned is going to impact you guys day to day when you're running the practice and you're taking care of patients. If you don't do that, there's that disconnect as well. And that's what I learned, and I'm still learning that now even. Making the time is really important.
So when you started with your dad, was it just the two of you?
So it was my dad. He had an optometrist as well, but it was just really pretty much us as well. He had a partner before that left many years ago, but it was just me and him. And so I grew with him.
And now it's no longer just you, it's you and a partner.
Yep, I have a 50% owner. Partner as well. Great guy. Thank you, Dr. Zanka. Christian is my good friend.
Can you explain what that process was like? Because I've heard other people say, as a sole practice owner, like I am now, as you previously were, that if you bring on an associate and you treat them well enough, they'll never desire partnership because they'll be financially compensated well enough and they'll have the freedom that they desire. What for you led to you introducing this person to be a 50% partner?
Yeah, it was really important. So two things. Number one, there are going to be two different type of doctors that want to come in, right? There are more doctors now that just give me a good percentage of what I make and then not have to worry about the headache of owning a practice. And now, of course, PE is taken over. There's different setups now, infrastructures. And especially since I love to travel, I love to do all these different things around, you want to have someone at home who also has your back, right? So, I mean, you need to have someone who's as vested in making sure the practice grows even when you're not there. right? It's so nice having a partner like that. So when he came to join the practice, he was an associate and he did the same thing, right? And after a couple of years, we talked about buying in. It was hard for me to let go of that extra like 10, 15%, right? First it was 60-40 for many years, and then he was like the last 10% to be 50-50 partner. Because it was my dad's practice, there was the Singh family. But what I realized was you can't grow, and quality of life you can't maintain if it's all about you. If you want to suck in everything, right? So I said, look, let's be 50-50 partners. But you can do carve-outs, right? You can say, hey, look, you know what? I'm the president of the company. Basically, you can't fire me, right? I technically, even though we don't do this, but I technically have the ability to buy certain things without his approval based upon our agreements. So you can carve out certain things. Now, I treat them 50-50 in general for everything, but we have those carve-outs to protect you. So if you're someone who doesn't want to let go of some of the autonomy, some of the leadership potential, some of the decision-making, you can do some carve-outs, but still create a 50-50 financial partnership as well. So you can do that. But what it did for me was give me so much more confidence and gave me a lot more kind of a more ability to kind of go out there and just do what I want to do. And he knows that what I'm doing is going to also benefit him, right? Because when we go out there, we learn, bring in new technology, we have more relationships and better. They come in, he is going to benefit from that too as well. And he is now taking care of a lot of the day-to-day runnings of the practice, right? Because I'm out there, he's doing a lot of the hiring and firing. He's doing a lot of the kind of the operation stuff with our practice administrator as well. So we both have carved out responsibilities. So I have let go of the need to be the full partner, 100% owner, and the one who always does decision-making, but it's allowing me to be relaxed. My quality of life is so much better. I don't have to worry about someone having my back. And that's so beautiful.
When you first brought him in and you first started your conversations with him, did you let him know up front that you were interested in transferring some ownership to him?
Yes, I did. I was ready for that, but I wasn't ready for the 50-50. And here's what happened. I'll tell you the true story. I mean, this may not be for everybody, but when we were deciding on 50-50 or 60-40 or 70-30, that number, right? I didn't want to let go. It was hard, and I was having a lot of difficulty. There's one thing that he said to me that I knew he was the right guy. He goes, Paul, when it comes to your dad, because he had a chance to practice with my dad. When it comes to your dad, I'm not going to negotiate with you. Whatever you want for your dad to protect him, because I wanted to have some carve-outs for my dad. Make sure he still got paid and he still got a chance. He would never get fired. He could work when he wanted to work. And he was like, you know what? That's your father. He's like my father too. And that phrase, when he said that to me about my dad, I knew this is like a brother. This is not just some random guy. And I could trust him. And so that's where I realized you can grow more when you give people an opportunity. And what's another 10%? Is financially going to affect me that much? No. And if I can carve out enough to protect me, why not, right? That's what life's about. We can't grow if it's all about me. And it took me a while to figure that out, but I did, finally. And I'm so happy I did, because he's a great partner. Absolutely.
That's such a great sentiment, and I think we both wish that more ophthalmologists shared sort of that generosity that you do. Yeah. This was a fantastic conversation.
I'm so proud of what you guys are doing, man. Keep it up. You guys are awesome. I mean, you're doing it the right way. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.